we get an estimated market value of the asset of $13.23 million, which is an increase of 71.9%.
Which is insane.
We're going to talk about the... we've owned Bayview Palms for, 9 months now? It's 9 months. February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 9 months.
Yeah, from the report. So technically, like...
Oh, from this report, yeah.
Like 10, 11 months from right now, but from our report, yeah.
Yeah, okay, from the report. From the time of the report that just went out, which is, October. Couple things, very high level. Rents are up 14.3% year to date, which is crazy. There's more increases to come. And because of that, the estimated property value is up significantly. That's one thing that I really want to talk about or mention. And because of the changes that we're doing, and we bought in the right submarket, we bought in the right area. I knew early on that this particular submarket was a great submarket. It was significantly undervalued based on the even retailers around within walking distance of the property, that this market was going to pop, and the specific little submarket was going to, little submarket cluster.
And I think a key thing that you found early on when we were looking at this property is that the property, when it was listed, the books were just so messy.
Yeah.
That when potential buyers start looking at that, that kind of scares them away.
Yeah.
Whereas we were able to do our due diligence and really kind of figure out from our perspective how the building's actually performing, and
should be.
Yeah, how it actually has been and how it could be.
Yeah.
And we're like, whoa, there's a huge value there.
Yeah, huge. And I've probably spent I will be spending about $100,000 in CapEx, which is not that much considering the value that this property's picked up. And the property was purchased for $7.7 million. If you go back, according to the cap rate that's in the market currently, and multiplying that cap rate by the NOI that the property is now producing on an annualized basis, moving forward from the rent roll in October, which the rent roll will be higher even moving forward because we haven't churned over all of the rents. We're looking at over a $13 million increase in value, which is an increase of 71.9%.
Say that part again.
What?
You said increase of 13 million. It's increased to 13 million.
Yeah. So the market cap rate in North Miami Beach currently right now is about a 4.5 cap rate. And by dividing the annual NOI by 950, the market cap rate in North Miami Beach is currently 4.5%. By dividing the annual NOI of 595,296 by 4.5, we get an estimated market value of the asset of $13.23 million, which is an increase of 71.9%.
Which is insane.
Like, that's a huge fucking value add right there. Like,
now,
are you
obviously,
kidding me?
this is like...
Yeah, it's totally subject to market conditions at disposition in another 4 years. Cap rates can change. The rental market could change. Certain things could change, but as of right now, and that's not a market cap that we are assuming. This is a market cap that we have specific data
for the submarket.
Right now. It's a 4.5% cap rate, and that's the market value of these particular properties.
And that market cap is not very different from what it was when we bought the property. It's just we bought the property at such a good cap rate compared to the market cap rate. Right?
Exactly.
So now that the books are cleaned up, there's been $106,000 of capital improvements. The rents are up. They're going to continue to rise.
Yeah.
The way that, and that's what we had in the report, the way that people value multifamily properties is they look at what the income that it's generating versus the cap rate in the submarket.
Exactly.
Right. Like with residential homes, it's a lot more kind of subjective. There's more emotion at play.
Yeah.
This is really just
more market related.
Yes.
This is more, again, cap rates will increase based on increasing interest rates for mortgages. However, you don't see the same amount of spread. When interest rates start to really increase, you see a much more reduction in home pricing in the single family home buying market. You don't see it too much on assets that produce income. You just don't.
Yeah. But like you've got to think, like we've already increased rents by 14% from 13.18 to 15.06. That was our October average rent. We signed 40 new leases at 15.75 as the average, which is another huge jump.
Yeah.
And we signed 8 new leases. Usually the new leases are getting even higher rents than that at 16.33.
Yeah.
Some of them are paying 1,700, 1,750.
Yeah.
Right. You got to think that as we turn over more and more of these leases in the next like year or two, and once the rents are getting to an average of 1,700, 1,750, the value of the property is going to increase that much more.
Yeah, we'll probably honestly see in a year or two probably a $15 million valuation. Now, here's another thing too. This is another very interesting play. The interest rate on this property is for 5 years, and I'm paying 3.8%. It may make sense, and I'm not saying we should do this.
I know where you're going with this.
What I'm saying is because the interest rate is assumable, it might make sense to sell early and cash out. I'm not saying that's what we should do, and the reason why is I feel rates will come down in 2024, especially. I think rates are going to start to come down in 2023 next year, but I for sure think that they're really going to start coming down in 2024. And at the time of disposition in 2027, once rates are coming down and the buying pool is larger for people that want to bring in their own lenders and stuff like that. If we're right around in that 4.5 interest rate mark, the value of this property is going to be absolutely ridiculous. It's going to double for sure. Like we're almost there already. It hasn't even been a full fucking year. So, right move. Right pick, right submarket, right intuition, right gut feel, like all that stuff ended up playing into our favor. There was a couple things that we did that I wish we would have done a little bit better. I wish I would have funded a CapEx account a little more so that I wouldn't have to, put in so much money. One of the things that we're doing moving forward, I did not bring my property inspector. I didn't bring my building inspector that I use locally here down to qualify that property. And what ended up happening is in the property condition report, it didn't mention certain things that I ended up having to take the brunt of in terms of, replacing a good portion of all the AC units, which in the property condition report, the inspector mentioned that they are all in good working order. So that was a big CapEx. You're looking at, $2,500 to $3,000 a pop, and the majority of them have been replaced.
Yeah.
So, which is also another reason why the rent's gone up so high, because a lot of this, a lot of people don't take care of their units, right? So that's why fixing up the units, getting them in good, working order, all the mechanicals, and keeping them clean and fresh and stuff like that. That's why we're pushing rent so high. But next thing that I will do, I will never not qualify a property without literally flying my guy down with me to wherever it is. I've done that a few times already, and it works out great. I know he's got my best interests at heart. I don't need a report. We take it on real time, and then over and above that, the banks will engage a property inspector, and they'll produce a report regardless. So it's irrelevant at that point, because that's the same exact situation that happened with the bank. I want to know going in, before I even put any money into this or start working with, the bank and the lender, because the banks and lenders, they require you to put down money for these reports. Before I even do that fucking guy, I'm flying him down there, and we're going to make sure that this property is in a good state of repair, and there's no outstanding, there's no outstanding maintenance that needs to be done. And in the event there is, we'll go in for a reduction. And if they don't accept a reduction, we'll fucking walk. And that's the approach that we're taking moving forward. I'm flying everybody down there first. It's not just going to be me, or it's not just going to be Scott. It's going to be somebody. It's going to be Don, who is a building inspector that could tell me exactly what the fuck the issues are with this particular property, so that I am not shocked moving forward when, I get a property condition report. For all intents and purposes, it's clean, and then upon ownership, 6 months in, we got all this fucking shit that wasn't supposed to come up. I'm not doing that ever again.
Yeah. If investors are interested in potentially moving forward with something else in the near future, what do we have going on in terms of updates?
I've got an LOI on a new build in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is really interesting. It's gone a little bit stagnant. I'm not exactly sure why. I think it's because they're waiting on. They have a couple other. There we go. My mom. Right. It's gone a little bit stagnant. So it's a really the agent's being a little bit odd. He mentioned that he'd love to see an offer from me, and then I asked for a follow up, and he's like, as mentioned before, we'll have more details, next week for you, with respect to the current group that's interested in the building. And I'm like, you told me to send in an offer. So what's happening there is I feel like he's leveraging my offer, which is very unfortunate. Nonetheless, I've got a couple other LOIs out on, not even LOIs, offers on properties in North Beach in Miami. Specifically, Bayview Palms is on the mainland. North Beach is on the peninsula. So it's still in the same submarket, but it's on the peninsula. Great area, great properties. A lot of room to move rent. The buildings are it's a value add in terms of a rent play and not necessarily a large CapEx play. So these are really interesting buildings, and they're walking distance to the beach. Great location. I love the areas. Anytime I feel there's two types of properties that I love. Number one, it's proximity to water. There's only so much property out in the world, and then there's even less property with proximity to water. Mm-hmm. Okay, and everybody gravitates towards water, right? And then number two, I love senior communities, and I love senior communities for the stability that senior communities bring, and also the demographic of seniors is increasing significantly over the next, call it decade. Mm-hmm. And typically you have these seniors that they don't want to move. You get a lot of them that are snowbirds or whatever, but a lot of them don't have the money to move down to Florida or relocate or whatever. They want to stay close to family. So for me, submarket analytics don't matter as much for senior communities because the population itself is growing so rapidly that the economic driving forces in those particular submarkets don't matter as much as market rate properties, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah. But we've got a couple LOIs out. We should probably have something in the new year for investors.
Very exciting.
Done.
Okay. So Connor, that entire segment related to the North Miami Beach property and potential new properties, we'll cut that out separately. I'd love to share that with, what do you want to do? Share that directly with investors? And post it to YouTube and share it as a link?
Potentially.
Okay.
Yeah. What else?
Yeah, so I'd like that to hit the, for everyone from Coachwood Capital to see.
Yeah. My mom, you guys good? Are you guys okay out there? I don't even know what that means. Because of snow? Is that what she's talking about? Fuck, I gotta piss. So bad. I wanted to do one other one. Fuck. Let me do another. Fuck. Might as well load up. Press stop on there.
Yeah.